The next topic that we are starting is standard costing. Under standard costing, we have very basic, some theoreticals. We'll quickly have a look at it. So what are standards? Standard costing is a cost control technique where we decide or we have predetermined costs, and those predetermined costs are compared to the actual cost. After the comparison, we see what needs to be done right. If at all there is some corrective measures to be taken, what are those that needs to be taken? Okay. Acha. You can put this over here. A standard cost is the planned unit cost of the product in a period. Its main use is in the performance evaluation, control and stock valuation, and establishing selling prices. If at all you have to remember something, this is the line that you need to remember. Okay. So what are the purposes of standard costing? Firstly, it helps you predict your future cost. It gives you a target, and then it is used for performance evaluation, and you can put down the inventory valuations as well. Okay. Now, types of standards. We have a lot, so we'll just be looking at that. The first type is the ideal standard that represents the level of performance attainable when everything is right. Okay, ideal standard is the utmost best standard that you can achieve. Basically, this is something that is unachievable and people just don't take it seriously. Okay? Nobody will take it seriously because that is everything happen in the best case scenario situation. Okay, which is why the effectiveness of something like that is a little less. Normal standards, on the other hand, are something which are achievable under normal operating conditions. So these are basically um, uh, if everything is going right in a normal circumstance. By a normal circumstance, meaning you will have normal losses, you will have normal downtimes, you have all of that. When uh, those are considered while drawing your standards. Such standards are called as normal standards. Okay, so basically these variances, if at all you're comparing with the normal standard, these are from the deviation. These variances will show you deviations from the normal efficiency and the normal volumes. Okay, so these are usually more achievable. These are usually more attainable, etc. Okay. Then you have the basic standards. Now, these are standards, uh, uh, these are drawn only when the product or the cost remains to be constant over a very long period of time. Okay. So when you have something like a basic standard, then what you do is um, you will not create a variance. You will express the current cost as a percentage of basic cost, and that difference or that percentage will be showing as per how much deviation you have. Okay, but since the basic standard is not the reflection of the current cost, we make something called as a current standard also. Okay, and under the current standard, we will compare the actual cost with the current cost. Okay, so we have two kinds of these. So basic standard, we express it as a percentage of basic cost. The current cost is basically as a percentage of basic cost, and um, we do this so that we can know as per how much is the deviation from the basic. And then since the basic is not a clear reflection of the current cost, we make a current standard as well, and we draw the variances in this. Okay, so this represents the degree of efficiency. Basically, the variance that we'll calculate is the degree of efficiency that we'll have. Okay. Then we have the process of standard costing. This is very simple. You already know the setup standards, then ascertain the actual cost, compare it, then investigate, and then dispose the variances. Very, very simple. Something that you've been doing in the practical all this while. Okay. Then you have setting up of a standard cost. How do we set up a standard cost? So the standard cost is usually based on technical estimates which are given by the engineering department, and these engineering department people will consider what the cost would be, giving due credit to the past data, the current data, and the expected conditions that may be there. So that may be there in the future. So that is also taken a given consideration is there for these items as well. Okay. Now we have something called as physical standards. Okay, what are these physical standards? These are those standards which are set up for the number of units or the number of hours. Okay, so these are set up for the number of units and hours, and the standard quantity or hours are determined for a product, and this is set up by the industrial engineering department. Okay, how do you set up a quantity budget or an hour budget? So you will, first step would be to standardize the product. Then you will study the product, prepare the spreadsheet, and do the test runs. Okay. So it's a very logical procedure. Standardization of the product means a set pattern as to how you're going to manufacture it. Then the product study is basically to understand uh, how are we going to manufacture it and what are the requisites, etc., etc. Then we will create a spec sheet based on what all things we need, and finally we'll do the test runs. Okay. Same as the procedure for setting up a labor time standard as well. You will standardize, you will put on the specifications of the labor that you need, then you will standardize the method. A manufacturing layout, this is important. Plan of operation for each product, listing the operations to be performed is. See, because every product is different, and when you say the product is different, then automatically uh, the kind of work required is also different, and which is why a manufacturing layout is done. And then we have time and motion studies. Time and motion studies basically is to understand what how much time is required to complete the product, and how much effort will be required in completing the product. Okay, one second. Continuing again, so we were deciding on the procedure of and the labor time standard. So how do you set that? You will first create a standardization, same thing that is done for material. Then you will put down the labor specifications and the methods, the machines that you'll be doing to complete that product, and then the manufacturing layout as to where will what machine fit and how will it be working. Then you will do the time and motion study, and finally the training and trials. Okay, and the procedure for overhead time and quantity setting, they're pretty much the same like uh, your engineering department does it again, and they are usually based on labor hours. So again, it is the same way as to how you do your labor time. That's okay. Then problems while setting, I think this is the last topic, the problems that we are facing while setting the physical standards. Some of them, the problems that we can discuss upon is basically these standards, they are based with humans. The time variances and the time standards are based, they have human elements involved, and whenever there's a new product, there's a fair possibility that the workers may be inexperienced, and the estimation may get a little difficult as to how much time will it actually take. Okay. Also, while setting up the quantity variance, if the material that you've asked for, if you're not getting that material, then again the quantity standards could go wrong. Okay. Then the technology change or the sophistication that may be needed um, for all of the time standards that we're drawing may change, and if they change, again the standards will have to change. So that is again very confusing to a level where you could actually not create a standard. Okay, and This point is important. Choosing the type of standards could be difficult. The engineering department estimate may be different from that of the actual achievable estimate. So the reality may be different from the theory, something like that. You may not be able to achieve that standard, and which is why you may be going a little wrong in your calculation. And if your calculations have gone wrong, you may end up with lower profits. Okay, so that could be again a fair possibility that may appear. So that's about it that we have in standard costing. Very, very basic. Two, three terms that you need to know. All of those are placed across, so you can read it and get it done. Okay, so I'll see you with the next chapter.